To some shocking news this morning from Hollywood. Two-time Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman has died at the age of 95, along with his wife and their family dog. Authorities say Hackman and Betsy Arakawa were found dead in their ranch in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Hackman won his first Oscar for his performance in the 1971 thriller The French Connection. He took home his second Oscar for his role in Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven 21 years later. Let's now bring in film critic Richard Crouse in this conversation. Good morning, Richard. We are tracking this very grim and rather shocking story. Your reaction to this news?
It's a shocking story for me. I was really upset by the news when I heard it this morning. Gene Hackman is a giant. In Hollywood for the last 40 years, he's handed in some of the most memorable performances on the big screen and did so on his own terms. The thing that makes his career so remarkable is that you can't pinpoint one thing that made him great. He could do comedy, he could do drama, he could do everything in between. He could play Popeye Doyle, he could play Lex Luthor, he could play the inspirational coach in Hoosiers or a character in Young Frankenstein and get laughs. This is someone who could literally do it all and did it with charisma and talent. And he was someone for whom a career in acting wasn't necessarily a given. He had been a Marine when he left the forces. He decided to try his hand at journalism. He didn't like that. So he thought, well, I'm from California. Acting seems to be, one of the ways that people out here make a living. So he joined the Pasadena Playhouse and got the lowest scores ever awarded to that point to an actor at the Pasadena Playhouse. So he moved to New York hoping to make a splash on Broadway. And he talks about one of the things that became a turning point in his life was living and working in New York City. He had no success as an actor yet. He was working as a waiter at a Howard Johnson's. And one of his teachers from the Pasadena Playhouse came in and said, you see, I was right about you. You're just a waiter. You moved out here for acting jobs and you didn't get any. So I was correct. I am proved correct. And Hackman says that from that point on, he said, I would do anything to get an audition. I would cheat. I would lie. I would fight anything to book an audition and to get the job. And within years, he was standing on the stage of the Academy Awards, taking home Best Actor for playing Popeye Doyle in The French Connection. So it's a remarkable story all around.
Wow, indeed. What a story, what a lifetime, and the legacy that he leaves behind. And as you were discussing, Gene, of course, is a five-time Oscar nominee who starred in dozens of the films that you just mentioned. But can we also talk about the person? Career is remarkable, as you told us, the roles that he has played. But as a human being, what more do we know about, or did we know about Gene?
Well, tenacity always comes to mind. He says that an acting career is 95% luck and the rest of it is just endurance. And that is certainly, I think, probably one of the earmarks of his personality. I mean, he was someone who, within just a 3-year period between 1985 and 1988, made 9 movies. That's a lot of movies in 3 years, making him one of the busiest actors in Hollywood and one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. He was someone who was always facing forward, looking at the next challenge. Even when he retired from film work in 2004, after making the movie Welcome to Mooseport, and he was diagnosed with a heart problem, and his doctor said, you can't act anymore, it's too stressful for you. He disappeared by and large from public life as an actor, but he wrote books, and he was still someone who was always moving forward, looking to do something else interesting and create something. And that is that kind of creative spirit, I think, that you need to continue a career over 40 years in the cutthroat world of Hollywood.
Right, and as we leave the story, of course, important to note that their deaths are under investigation. Very shocking story indeed. Husband, wife, as well as their family dog found dead in New Mexico. Richard Crouse, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us, Richard.
Thank you for having me.